Okay, you ready?
Like,
La la la. Big black bug, big black bug. Hello and welcome to the podcast. So this is love. How do you do love? I am Mag, also known as Margaret Dahlberg, and I'm here with my friend.
and also known as Angela Kavar.
Wow, we got full name. It only took 5 dates.
Yeah. Starting to open up a little.
Yeah, full name. Well, hi Ange, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well.
Nice to see you today. Looking forward to this. I can't believe we're already at chapter 5. We're having so much fun. So in case you need reminding, she had started online dating and she'd met 13 guys in 5 months and didn't have any luck. And her friend said, "You're too picky, you always put the cart before the horse." So she's saying middle ground and said, "From now on, I'm going to learn to stay in the middle ground."
Okay.
Summary.
Thank you.
So we're going to listen to chapter 5, the monologue, and then the song, and then we're going to come back on.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
Okay, bye. Okay, I'll see you in...
Okay, see ya. Although
Yeah.
you're here
Wait,
with me.
We're not going anywhere. Okay,
See you soon.
now. I continued online dating with a vengeance. I was determined to prove to myself that I could successfully meet a guy and stick it out with him for the long term. I would stop expecting the happily ever after and simply take on each new step as it came along. Along came Vince. I really liked Vince. He was smart and he made me laugh. I committed to living in the middle ground for this guy, and I was prepared to bend over backwards to do so. So I looked the other way when I discovered he was in an ugly and very costly custody battle over his beloved schnoodle and Yorkie poo from his previous marriage. My lawyer adds a couple $1,000s a month to my 6-figure debt. 6-figure debt? He was a guitar teacher. But hey, there's always bankruptcy. Eesh. Still, he was really good with my kids, bringing enthusiasm to all of our weekend adventures. And I looked the other way when he admitted that he was not particularly attracted to my shape. "I generally like girls a little more petite," he stated, "but you're okay." Still, he complimented the rest of me all the time, noticing every new outfit and hairstyle with enthusiastic appreciation. And I even looked the other way when he suggested I do something about my full bush. "Full bush?" I asked. "Bikini waxing," he said. "You know, how about a landing strip?" "What the heck?" I thought. "You don't wax?" Lisa interrogated. "Oh, Christine, you have to. Men expect it these days." Deflated by yet another modern-day dating issue that made me feel old-fashioned and out of date, I came up with a compromise. "I'll do it if you pay for it," I offered Vince. He snorted, and although the subject never came up again, I became increasingly self-conscious about that part of my body. Still, we had mind-blowing sex frequently. I couldn't get enough of him. He was by far the best lover I'd ever had. As I lived in the middle ground in my relationship with Vince, I thought I was on the right track. This time it's got to work. But then, out of the blue, Vince dumped me via text. "Something is not right. I wish you the best. Goodbye." After all I'd done, I had put up with so much. I texted him back, demanding an explanation. No reply. I texted him again, accusing him of being afraid of commitment. He blanked me. I texted him one last time, proclaiming he'd someday think of me as the one that got away and that he'd be filled with regret, and it was too late anyhow. I was gone. No response. I was livid. How could he? I thought as I was chopping the mushrooms for dinner. He must have intimacy issues. Chop, chop, chop. Clearly, he's a troubled individual. Chop, chop, chop. I was the best thing that ever happened to him. Chop, chop, chop. I am a catch. Chop, chop, chop. My God, I've worked so hard and I'm still completely alone. Chop. I felt a sting in my hand. I looked down and saw blood spilling all over the cutting board. I had cut the shit out of my thumb. Fuck! I yelled. I was alone, and in a moment of hysteria and panic, I decided to call the local health link. You need to get to emergency immediately, the nurse announced. Are you alone? Am I alone? Am I alone? I am completely alone, and I will be for the rest of my life, apparently. And in that moment, I felt a switch deep down inside me flip. The switch that was holding me together. The switch that was motivating me to prove that I could succeed in a relationship. I could now see it was pointless. I was and would always be a complete failure. I felt myself unravel and started to cry and cry and cry. Sobbing, I finally answered the nurse. Yes, yes, I am alone. The tone in the nurse changed. The tone I knew all too well that was reserved for people who are on the verge of plummeting off the edge. I want you to stay on the phone with me now, okay? Now, who can we ask for a ride to emergency? I considered my nearest and dearest. It was summer. Everyone was out of town. I even texted Vince. I've cut my hand and I need a ride to the hospital. Finally, a response? Christine, you need to let this go. Get over it. I've moved on. I hung up on the nurse and grabbed an Uber. 5 hours and 5 stitches later, plus many more tears shed on impatiently empathetic nurses' shoulders, I left the hospital alone, dry-eyed and weary. Yet I noticed I was surprisingly calm for the first time in days. No, months. Hang on a second. Since before I met Vince, God, he was a jerk. As I looked up at the inky black sky, I noticed the full moon staring down at me with a seeming permanence. Somehow I found this quite comforting. What happened to me today? I reflected. I thought I was independent, but I think I seem to have a serious issue around being alone. It seems a lifetime since we met, long enough for us to build up regret, but the laughter and your eyes, plus your kindness, did you realize your big heart could fill me up? But then you turned around and emptied the cup. I don't know which way to turn. I played with your fire, now I feel it burn. And now I'm staring at the monster in my closet. And now I will set it free. There's a happy sad and a mad glad over you. There's a good bad, such great times we had over you. So many things we love to talk about, but then you take a stand and I just want to shout. We were so different, you and I, but the things we shared, they made me want to fly. You closed the door so suddenly, like a sudden wake up from a very bad dream. But then I thought of that deep sadness in my heart. I must have known that this was coming from the start. And now I'm staring at that monster in my closet. And now I will set it free. There's a happy sad and a mad glad over you. There's a good bad, such great times we had over you. Over you. Over you. Okay.
Alrighty. Well,
So-
first of all, I want to say it's actually one of my favorite songs, like melodically and stylistically.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
really like it, and
I think it might be one of my top two. There is something about that song that I really love, which is ironic because it is, there is one more song that's also pretty intense, but, you know, in a way it came from such a tough place because, so Vince is not based on one guy, but kind of the worst of probably three different guys. Those are all real stories, except the costly Schnauzer and Shih Tzu was actually, or whatever it was, Doodle and Schnoodle, was actually have been custody battles. I've known a few guys that have been racking up fortunes that can't afford it over custody battles with children. And the not attracted to my shape, I think we talked about that already, did happen. The full bush stuff, start meeting your husband in the early 90s. That was before Sex and the City, and before it all became a thing. And then it was born of what I would, I didn't cut my hand, but I had a similar thing happen and called the health link and felt like there was no one around to call. And I even texted the guy that had just dumped me.
Oh God.
And did
he reply with that similar?
Well, no, I think he told me to call or go to the hospital or call. I can't remember if he confirmed at the time or it was so long ago, it was 2017. Or later when I talked to him, because we ended up getting back together again, and he admitted that he thought I came up with a reason that I'd actually done it to him. So what I'd done is I was trying to I had a cat fence in my backyard, and I needed staples. So I bought a staple gun, and it was the first, I was trying to keep myself busy because I was really struggling that day. And I thought, I pushed myself. I'm like, just go out and try and fix the fence. So I took the staple gun and I set it up and I queued it up to shoot it. Yeah. And I shot it and it went right into my hand. And I'd had it backwards. I'd put the handle backwards. So I stapled my hand, into the soft part of my hand.
God.
And it didn't hurt, but I was shocked. And of course, I was worried about my hand. So I was and it was so ironic because I was already having a bad day. This guy had just dumped me. And it was a summer that I would say I had never known I had panic attacks in my life. And I was having them that summer. And I would say that it was a difficult relationship. This guy was really good at drawing boundaries, and it triggered my rejection anxiety like crazy. And I was just tanking and having all kinds of anxiety attacks. And interestingly enough, he was involved in healthcare and had actually worked in psychiatry. And so it, in a way, was a good thing because, he could tell what was going on. But I knew I didn't want to be with him and wasn't going to stay with him. We weren't compatible. We had nothing in common. Yeah. But he's someone we've become friends since. He's the kind of guy that has no trouble being honest with you and saying really hurtful things just to make his point.
Okay. Yeah.
And the people pleaser in me it turned me inside out. The performer in me, I wanted to get it right. But the part of me that had expanded and grown knew that something was going on. And then meanwhile, whatever the childhood trauma I carried was really being triggered. And so I was in sort of a heightened state of anxiety all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
So meanwhile, then I stabbed my hand with a staple, and like he's broken up with me. And I do feel like it was, if we don't call them nervous breakdowns anymore, but I feel like I had like a small one that day.
Yeah.
And I went to emergency. I hadn't hit the tendon, so it was all fine. They gave me a tetanus shot because it was metal. Felt way better, and. So I wrote the song Monster in My Closet saying, okay, I'm really glad I've exposed this part of myself. Like, I know it's here. Now I can work with this. I can heal this. It's going to make me stronger. Mm-hmm. So the happy, sad, mad, glad.
Right.
It's all
That's
like,
what I was wondering about.
It's all, I'm so glad this has come out, but it's a breakup. So I am sad and I'm mad because he was a jerk. And I was relieved too, because I was trying so hard to make something work that was so... I don't know why. We've talked about this at length. Why? I knew it was going to end eventually. I just felt bad for him. He was going through a very difficult time himself.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
It's hard to be light about this subject because... So I do want to share a few things though, like the comedic things that are supposed to be so ridiculous. Her comment, he was smart and he made me laugh. Like, that's all she was looking for.
Right. Yeah.
And then her breakup texts.
Yes.
Did you relate to those? I was wondering if you've broken up recently enough. It's like everything a woman thinks about the guy. It must be he's got intimacy issues, and someday you're going to regret this. Like, it's just all those things we think. And like that anger texting, and then they don't, like, that part was really fun to comment on. And then like the health link, like we laugh about calling the health link because 99% of the time they tell you to go be seen.
Yes.
Like, it's so ridiculous to call the health link. So that was all meant to be, like, that was the trying to lighten the mood of what was really happening, which was our main character thought she just needed a man, tried to find self-love, went on to internet, and then it turned out now she's actually really seeing what has been making her generally struggle and feel dissatisfied or discontent all this for her whole life. The monster in her closet.
Set in a major key with lots of jazzy chords.
You know what it's like, why do birds suddenly appear? It reminds me of that sort of 70s
It does,
sound.
yeah. Except that it's like, why am I having a panic attack?
Actually, I forgot to mention this. Every single one of those songs started out quite plodding and slow. I can climb up. They were pretty... actually, I think this one was brighter. I know the yum ba doo dee, but it wasn't as fast and upbeat as I've made it. But the sort of musical theatery sound that they developed, they didn't all start out with. Like, there was quite a bit of, and now here's another plodding, sad song about the despair that humans live with.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's easier to take it in, I guess, if it's just not so obvious.
Well, I really do believe that the dark light, like, and this song is all about the darkness and the light. Like, you see it. I like to joke about the darkest things. Like, I find humor in that stuff. And so, I mean, that's the whole point of this play, is we have triumph and tragedy in our life, and hopefully we can laugh at both. Not take ourselves so seriously, because I take myself very seriously most of the time, which is my greatest challenge, I think, and all of ours. Like, lighten up,
but your dark humor is one of my favorite things about you.
Well, unless it's about bunnies.
Yes. Or my cat. I don't think you've ever gone
Well,
there.
I would never go there.
No. Oh my God, where do we go from here? Like, I relate, and I just don't know how personal to get.
So things that I'd be curious to know from people, what are your experiences with breakup texts? Those breakups where you're both desperate and angry at the same time, or, and also, what's the other, there's a smug, like, you go through all these different moments of like, fuck him, I don't need him. And,
well, I think I've finally learned to not respond with those feelings that surface right away. Finally. Because it does, and it feels so much better to just let it rest. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you won't address something. It's just you're not going to respond while you're triggered. And
impulse and reaction.
Yeah.
That's what's so great about these scheduled texts you can do now. Because I also believe in getting it out of my system. I often will type responses or type letters.
Oh, that's,
and like write it all out. And then usually, particularly in my relationship now, like if I wait long enough, it wasn't necessary. It was that in the moment. But I one of my relationships, when texting was new for me, text fighting is just brutal, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a terrible thing. It's worse than road rage to me, like, because you can hide behind so much. But I remember the ridiculous breakup I went through using texts, and then Facebook, like making comments on Facebook. I'm almost like embarrassed and ashamed, but like, my life has suddenly changed unexpectedly, in case you're like, I just remember saying something, not mentioning any names, but it was just so like, oh my God, like social media fighting or shaming or whatever. And that was the same guy that put on Facebook that he was going to like a love fest multi-partner intimate evening of like explore your sexuality.
And he put that on Facebook.
Yeah, he posted it on Facebook in the same week.
God.
And then, oh my God. And then I posted something, and then I remember his mother commented on my post like about I wish people would keep their stuff private. Like it was like junior high. I'm so embarrassed. I was in my early 40s and I acted like I was.
Yeah.
I don't even think I acted like I was in junior high, because I think sadly the young kids have tools to know how not to use social media.
Right. Yeah. No, I did. So I posted some things in my early 40s too. Oh God, so cringy. Yeah. Now I'm just not on social media at all.
Yeah. Social media is a terrible way to communicate with people. Even
though this isn't the subject of this particular chapter, I want to ask you about that, because I know you're on Instagram mostly because of your music and nature. Say I were starting to date somebody. I wonder if I would be missing some important information. Or am I getting what I need to do? You'd ask your friend Margaret to send you his stuff. Oh, God.
I'd like to think that... Gosh, just about. This is something I'd be curious to hear from people too. So, I feel like there really is a shape for a lot of people. The Facebook curve. You go on at first. For me, I came on later than a lot of people. I think it was 2008, and I used it like a lot, and then and thought I was leading the world with all my great posts and all this bullshit, And almost everyone I know barely uses it and everyone that I'm really close to really doesn't use social media in that way. I would guess that the guy you met that you actually wanted to start dating would probably be in that same capacity, unless it's a business, right? Like, but that's a lot different than went for a run today, sure was hot,
Well, here's a story for you. So shortly after a breakup that I had, I was looking for new car insurance.
Okay.
And so somebody that I knew suggested this particular guy.
Okay.
And we set up a chat, like just on the phone, and we're talking about my car insurance and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter what happened with that. And then I got this messenger, because I do have Facebook and I do talk over Messenger, like with my mom.
You're not active on Facebook. Yeah.
And I got this message from him. It was after we'd closed the file. Like I decided I wasn't going, saying, "Hey, I hope it's okay if I contact you this way." And I was so new, like fresh. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm meeting. He seemed like a nice guy, right?
Yeah. And you think the best of people, as I do. I think you and I have an innocence in that way. Yeah. And naivety, maybe.
Yes. And
both of us.
So I was like, oh yeah, that's no problem. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was definitely flirting, and I was like, okay, I'm on Messenger. Maybe I should check out his Facebook, probably based on things that you had gone through.
Yes. Yeah.
So I went on to his Facebook, and I saw that he was married. So I should have just immediately like blocked him or whatever, but instead I'm too curious. I was like, hi, I see by your Facebook that you are married. And then he said something like, well, yeah, I wasn't about to propose or suggest we meet in a hotel unless that's what you're into.
Oh my God.
And then I was like, oh my God, forget it. This isn't the kind of person I am. Bye-bye.
Oh,
and I saw on his
God.
Facebook page that he was friends with somebody that I knew that knew his wife. And I was like, oh God, now I have all this and I have information about this total creep.
Ugh.
And so had I not had the wherewithal to check social media, maybe I would have like met him somewhere delusionally because I'm naive.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a
That's
blow.
creepy, and it's gross, and it's awful, and yeah, like it was so unprofessional. He could probably get fired for that.
Yeah.
And of course, then how do you handle it? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I know. I thought about telling the friend who was just a contact of mine through like electrician or something. I don't know. I don't even know this guy. It's not my job to fix his life or blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I just need to distance
no, you
myself.
needed to take care of yourself. I
Yeah.
think you did absolutely the right thing, and you weren't getting insurance through them anyway.
No.
Right? So
No.
you have no.
Yeah.
God, yeah, it's just that's so brutal, so brutal. I guess what I want to say more about this monster in the closet, the happy sad thing, you know, that was a tough time and a tough summer where I really did suddenly realize, gee, I have trouble being alone. And I wrote all those songs that summer when I was struggling. I seemed to figure out I needed to write a song, and I'd write it about whatever I was going through. And then it really did lead me to, it's time for me to go deeper and figure out, you know, why I responded to this one guy the way I was, but why I'm struggling and yada, yada, yada. So I went into this adventure that I've been on. You know, it started with trying online dating and, you know, the first few getting tossed around, and then realizing to make it fun and to take on, you know, what do they say about your greatest fears? Face them. So taking on being rejected, you know, just made it all fun. I really had fun when, you know, of the 13 guys I met, fun with about 10 of them, you know, not with specifically, but with getting to know and learning and finding my way around. And that was what set me on the journey, which, I mean, I was already on a journey, but deeper onto the journey that I am on to this day, you know, that I feel like I got to a certain place and have gotten to know myself. And I don't feel like I have a monster in my closet anymore. Maybe it's like a tiny little chihuahua that needs sometimes attention and might snap and bite just to get attention. But once it gets its attention, I can move on, you know? So...
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like you figured out what the monster was through continuing to date, or is there something else that you did? Did you?
Well, yes, absolutely. It was, I think, being open, and I think you said to me yesterday something like, sometimes awareness is all we need. And once we have the awareness, we don't have to, you know, find some fix. It's like, oh, there's a monster in my closet, just knowing it was there.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I did a very small, I'd say the things that really helped me were somatic practice, learning, you know, where and how the trauma felt in my body. I did have a somatic appointment with my somatic practitioner where I did figure out that I could actually, if we put me in a position, I'd start feeling panic attack, and that I could then move out and I'd feel normal, and then I could panic, and then like
pendulating.
It was pendulating. And so there was that, and then I did a little bit of EMDR. That was helpful too. For me, it's always research and learning
and experiential things, because I think
always
that's important. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think often we're taught, like, if we just learn about it and we cognitively know, then we'll change our experience. But no, it's generally through another experience that we can.
As dark as the monster in my closet was at that time, and a show came out of it. Like, I have this show in itself. Like, it went from, you know, these 7 heart-wrenching songs to the match experience that then led to this ridiculous fun story, which became a 3-woman show and then became a 1-woman show.
Yeah.
And brought me growth, learning to accept my voice. It's hard for me to listen to the recording of me singing, even the monologues. You know, it just became a really special thing. So to me, it just, people talk about this, like everything we are experiencing is what makes us who we are now. Mm-hmm. And the more we talk about that, like, it seems like a cliche, but it's so true. Like, you know, I couldn't be me without whatever the trauma was I experienced, whatever the difficulties I've experienced. I work every day on feeling a deeper sense of self-compassion.
One of the things that occurs to me is that you, as you say, you put this into a show, you put it into songs. And I think sometimes we underestimate the healing or growing that can happen through self-expression. And I mean, you and I are musicians, and so that's how we express ourselves. But I think it can apply to anybody. I don't know how it would look with other people.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something that I wanted to highlight.
I think it is really important. And for me, when I bore the songs, because it really felt like giving birth, it was very intense and quick, and they just were like, bleh, and I've got this song. There was such a strong sense that I was responsible for making sure these songs were heard, that, you know, it just kept pushing me. And then when it became the 3-woman show, like I knew I had to give it life, even to the point of this podcast. My mode of self-expression has to be shared with the public for me to experience it fully and learn from it. So if I know it sounds ridiculous, but if I write a song and I listen to it, I'm like, no, it's fine. But if I release it and I listen to it on Spotify, I'm hearing what the other people would hear.
I totally get you. Yeah.
And then I learn what I want to do differently next time, or how I, you know, whatever. So that's why I have over 70 songs on all the streaming sites. It does, I think, vary, and we kind of have to find it. Like, what is yours?
I mean, I think mine is singing for sure. And it's just the making of the sounds, like when it works, which it doesn't always, it's not always efficient or whatever. But when I'm doing it in a way that is efficient and, you know, has a specific resonance or in my body, it feels healing. It feels like I am able to really express what's in there. I feel like when everything's working well with my singing, that it's a true expression of myself.
So I'm curious, is it opening up your music book and singing songs? Or is it, because you mentioned it's making certain sounds like...
Yeah, it could just be vocalizing. It doesn't even have to be...
So that means singing like just vowels and warm-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything, just getting it moving and then finding the coordinations. That's how I put it in my singing teaching. That allow for everything to, it will feel effortless when it works really well. I'm not saying it always feels that way, but when it feels effortless, it's like, this is how it's meant to be.
I'm curious, because if I'm, say, having a hard day and I'm thinking, I maybe should do some composing, and I don't always remember, like every once in a while I'm like, geez, why haven't I tried to compose about this? And so for me, it's pressing record in an attempt to connect with the feelings that are creating my congestion that day, whatever that has me feeling yucky. So that's my process. So is that similar for you?
Because mine would just be fucking open your mouth and start making sounds. Because when I feel like I'm somehow, how did you put it? You're having a congested. I love that. Emotional congestion. The last thing that really occurs to me is to sing. Like it's not, that doesn't come, that thought process isn't, it's not like, hey, here's what I should do.
Yeah,
But as soon as I start doing it, things flow. And as long as I can be self-compassionate in the process and just think of it as playful. Yeah. Like if I said, okay, I am going to start singing and I'm going to record myself, like for me that would not work.
That's different.
It has to be just exploring.
And knowing and trusting, because you've had such success with it in the past. Bringing it back around to that, her cutting of the hand, which is the story I told you about, stapling my hand. I was stuck. I was completely stuck, and getting myself outside to get moving. The intention was to feel better and to get myself moving, to get myself out of the congestion I was in.
Yeah.
And it was, to me, I do believe in, I don't know how to word it, because I don't like the everything's meant to be, but it was like just going outside to fix the fence wasn't enough. Like I had to literally pierce my skin, like pop the balloon.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, all this repressed emotion came out,
right.
you know. And I've noticed that. Like I remember Byron Katie saying, and I've always loved this, like when you hit your head, you say thank you, you know, because that was supposed to happen to pull me back in. But whenever I do, like I stub my toe or something painful happens, I'm like, oh, check, how present am I right now?
Yeah.
Clearly I'm not. And I do like that concept that someone's kind of giving you a dope slap to say, hey, come on, you know.
Yeah, the other day I was in my bedroom, and I have this meditation practice, but I fell off the wagon. Anyway, I was in my bedroom and I fucking stubbed my toe on my meditation bench, and I was like, gotcha. I understand. All right.
I get it. Oh yeah, and I know another joke I wanted to bring up from the chapter was, so I didn't take an Uber to the hospital after I stapled my hand, but I texted my neighbor who I was friends with, not the same neighbor I have now. You know, basically, hey, any chance you can drive me to emergency? And like this neighbor I know well, she was quite a bit younger than me. We had lots of great chats. We had some visits, drinking, fun.
Yeah.
You know, she'd gone through a divorce. Like we were buddies.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, now, do you have any Band-Aids? Like, her voice, like she would talk like this. And she was, and that was that moment when I went, oh my God, I really must not be okay in mental health wise to this person right now because of how she's talking to me. Like I had enough presence of mind. And have you ever experienced that when you're like, oh man, I must not be okay because the way people are talking to me is like, all right, no. And she did drive me to the hospital and I wouldn't let her come in, and I did go in myself. And I did actually walk home from the hospital by myself.
Wow. Yeah.
I felt like I'd gone through something and I just needed...
That's an interesting story, that part, that the shock initially, and then probably the care that you received. Like I'm curious as to the mechanism of what sort of brought it out. Like shock takes you out just like people take cold plunges. I think it's to like shock themselves out of the state that they're in, the nervous system state. But then you would have received care from your friend, from the nurses.
Absolutely.
And that empathy can really open up things, you know, like just some tenderness from...
in retrospect, again, it was like, okay, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Like walking out of the hospital and like you said, having all those steps within allowed me to just look back and go, oh, okay, all right, well, looks like I've got some work to do here. Like,
yeah.
And
thank God you have introspection, because I think we're all given these we'll call them universal nudges, or nudges from the universe, whatever. But if we're not able to see them, then we just continue, you know?
Yeah, we don't shift and grow. And I would still be going through the same things and having panic and anxiety attacks and probably having mishaps.
Yeah.
You know,
it's interesting though that the few accidents you've had over the few years, they've always been on your hand. I mean,
they have. Yeah, because remember when I really badly sprained my middle finger a few years ago?
Yeah.
And I does
a few doggy bites.
Oh yeah, I got bit. Right, I got bit by a dog in my middle finger.
Yeah.
Yes, even as a kid, I used to sprain my middle finger, and I couldn't practice. Isn't that interesting? I would like to think we've all had those moments, like where we're just, losing our shit.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I'll refer to my last relationship because this person is not going to listen to this podcast. But I do respect this person and have a deep affection for him, just in case he does listen to it. But that relationship, which was off and on for 6 years, coincided with my beginning my therapy journey and a bunch of other journeys. And I learned so much through being in relationship. It didn't always look pretty, but I think of how much growth came out of that, even though we split in the end.
Because you can't, that's why relationships are so hard. and why living with someone is so hard. You can't hide. Like, you are reflected off of that person. So one time with Jim, I was in a really bad mood our last couple days. I just wanted to leave. But I couldn't handle seeing my bad mood.
Yeah.
And he, like, I wasn't taking it out on him, but I was having to, like, I was more aware of my bad mood simply because he was there. And I knew my bad mood meant there was stuff, I was stirred up about something I needed to work on. And it doesn't jibe with my need to be, like, all presentable with everyone, you know, play my different Margaret Tweedy, Maggie roles. Like, I cannot get angry. And you and I talked about this recently. I am, like, dying to be that person that can go, look, just fuck you, okay? Yeah. And then it's over. Yeah. But I fucking, like, I simmer. Yeah. And then I type an angry letter. Yeah. And then it cools off. And then the next time we talk, I'm reasonable. Yeah. And, like, I wish I could be that, you know, the pit bull mother dog. You know, I love watching mother cats with their kittens who are like, meow. You know, but then it's done. It's over. I feel like
are those the YouTube things that you're sent? Mama cats beating the shit out of their kittens.
Yeah. You know, the quick swipe. Whap.
Yeah. The cat's like,
I love it. But I do think there's something to be said for that. And I think that the people I know that are better at snapping quickly are healthier. Like,
I think so too. I mean, not snapping because it's built up, but just like being able to say it.
Yes, not blowing their stack. Yes. Which is the person who has no other way of having an outlet, and then it comes out, as they'll say, sideways towards like the level of rage over something minor. Yeah. But I wish I could dish it out. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like I shrink when it's around me. Yeah. Like, if I'm around people that, like, that big energy, big angry energy. Yeah. Triggers me. Yeah. And I freeze.
I had this experience the other day where I was talking with my friend who was visiting me for a couple weeks, and we were sitting across this kitchen table, this very one, and we were talking about somebody close to me, and I was about to express anger, and it was going to feel good. But instead, I got really close to it, and instead I was like, but you know what? That person, I think, is doing their best. And then I was like, shit, I should have gone for it because I just quashed it. And had I been able to allow myself to be angry, it would have been really healthy catharsis, you know? Yeah. But yeah, it's...
I just don't feel like I know you can read about it and take courses and learn, but I honestly think it's too late. Like, I think something that you learned as a baby, infant, to smother, like, I just don't, like, by the time I realize I even had anger to express, the moment is so, like...
I don't think it's too late, because I think there are ways to cultivate your awareness of how you're feeling about a situation, and you can cultivate that slowly. And even things like preferences. So if we're not allowed to be angry as children, one of the things that we don't learn is to speak about our preferences. Like, no, I don't want to watch that. No, I don't want to eat that. No, I don't. So you can start that in your own life. I'm not saying I do this. These are things that I hear. So it starts with, like, making choices that are really in alignment. So it maybe doesn't even have to be anger, but it's like advocating for yourself. And I think with healthy advocating for yourself, you could probably, you know what? I let myself give the finger sometimes when I'm driving. I do. And it feels really good. And it's when people are being complete assholes. Yeah. And I used to think, no, like a good girl would never do that. But I'm like, they're being an asshole. I'm going to do it. And
feels good.
It feels good. So for me, it's a healthy thing.
Yeah.
Because I would never do it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, like, I know I'm looking at you a certain way, and I'm not using words because this is such a difficult subject for me. I'm listening. Okay, so this is what I was thinking. I'm listening, and I think it's amazing that you give people the finger from your car.
In fact, you saw me do
But
it
where
because it
I
was
go
towards you.
is I'm like, but I don't want to hide behind my car and give someone
for
the
sure.
finger.
It's just,
I know,
yeah.
because it was a yearning. I was like, I want to be able to look at Jim and go, Jim, Jesus, like,
Yeah.
just get ready already.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be able to like, I want to be like that stereotypical couple, like the George's mother and father, like,
Oh, yeah.
get your ass down here,
Yeah.
I'm coming, and they love each other, and nobody
Yeah.
cares that they get so angry at each
Yeah.
other. I don't want to be someone who shrinks from anger and
Yeah.
is traumatized by anger, and then has to take all this time. Like, I would love to have that reflex,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people I know and the people I know that are like that, to me, emotionally healthier in some ways than I am. And I've worked on it. Like, these are people that don't work on it. Maybe they don't need to because they get angry. Whereas I'm like working and working and working and working. And yet I still freeze in those moments.
I think sometimes it's indicative of an issue that you haven't dealt with.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm not saying these people. I'm just saying I'm not saying they're healthier in lines of like, I mean, they're living their lives with this like, you know, healthy attitude.
Yeah, but we never know what
Because
people
they're,
are
yeah,
really
I guess.
experiencing.
Oh my God. I had this moment yesterday. I'm sitting here editing all these different episodes we've got and listening to us talk about how we meet and select people. And I had this thought, do we really select people, or are they brought to us at the right time?
I totally agree with that. I actually have this like vision of us humans being moved around like Lego pieces by like somebody, some like giant kid who's just playing with us, and they're like, I'm gonna put this person in front of this, let's see what happens. They're also like maniacal little kid. And then it's not necessarily that we're meant to be together, but we're meant to learn something from that person. So yeah, I even my reference to that creepy insurance salesman, I sure learned a lot. I learned something from that.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
I have never heard this concept that Earth is just a big children's toy, and I think that's pretty amazing thought. I love the thought that it's even more chaotic than, you know, God or some universal someone who actually has a plan, but it's just like this maniacal little child going, but this, you know. I also liked, I remember hearing from someone, and I liked this for a long time. In between lives, we actually map out our life. So it would be like, okay, I want to learn to love myself better through these experiences. Like, I want to experience a level of trauma that gives me this. So I want to be with this family, and I want to go through this and have this experience, and I'm going to meet this guy at this point. And like, it's like a choose your own adventure. Like, we wanted this and we asked for it. And so when we're here, we're getting what we chose.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
I've heard that, and it's definitely, I think it's, whether or not it's true, nobody knows for sure. It's a great way to help a person accept their life and not have regrets, because living in regret is just like,
well, sad. Yeah. And it also reinforces that I cannot be who I am today, the person I have loved and accepted sitting here right now, if I hadn't gone through all the 54 and a half years of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Although I'd still like the maniacal 3-year-olds bashing toys together.
Well, I think the kid, well, he just has the maniacal laugh. I don't know if he is actually maniacal, but I think the kid
is a sociopath.
This kid, this giant baby, that's what it is, a giant baby, but he can put Lego together for some reason. Anyway, she, they have enough wherewithal to think, it would be interesting if I put this piece with this piece.
I like it.
Yeah.
So maybe a 5-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a really smart
girl. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today, Angela. It was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, well, okay, fun as in, let's unpack Margaret's trauma and the summer she had a nervous breakdown. Fun, you know,
not
that
fun,
kind of fun.
Ha ha, but fun, like what the hell?
Like maybe keep 6 feet distance from her if you ever meet her. Kind of fun.
No. not at all. Not at all. I like your vulnerability.
Oh, thank you, my vulnerability. See, there I go, making jokes. So, Ange, we have some feedback to listen to.
Well, love it.
Yeah, so this is from episode 2. So if you remember episode 2, that was about falling in love too easily. And you and I talked a lot about how, I can't remember what was the word. Oh, right. How we kind of like to change ourselves just to make it work with the guy that, the guy of the day.
Yeah, and how fun it is to kind of be your best self.
Yes.
And you enjoy. And
Yes, exactly. So this is from an anonymous person for episode 2. I have a very disorganized attachment style and previously dated really unavailable or dark men. With my now husband, I liked him, but it wasn't dopamine driven. I would have left him many times if my therapist didn't know me well. I learned in therapy that because of my dad, I would have olfactory triggers where I would hallucinate a smell and connect it to my love interest, causing me to want to leave him.
Whoa.
As with your birth control discussion, it's smell that decides a dating match. Scent leads attraction. My point is I really had to stick out my triggers and continue taking slow steps with the man I married. And I fell deeply in love with him incredibly slowly. I only stayed because my gut told me to, and my therapist continued to push me deeper through my trauma with my dad. I dated a completely different way, and I'm really glad I did.
Holy shit.
Isn't that amazing? First of all, what a sharing.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for going there.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we've created this space to encourage people to be so honest, because that's intense.
It is intense. And I actually, oh gosh, I don't even know. I have all these thoughts about kind of connection to what she's talking about.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show, like, I feel like we've talked about this in so many episodes, like knowing your gut. Like, gut is such a good word, because I swear the mind can make you think it's your gut and make you think it's your intuition, but that real gut, and having the support of her therapist,
Well, what I think that I know for myself, and this might be for her too, is that if it's that olfactory response where she could smell, had this memory of a smell or whatever, that sounds like the limbic system. That sounds like a real fear response. And sometimes we think that it's a gut feeling when it's fear. So that's where I'm starting to realize there's a difference. Like, the gut usually is a knowing. It's like, yeah, there's a groundedness to it for me. But if it has a fear in it, then no, I shouldn't make a decision based on that.
Interesting.
Or even the other way, if there's like a desperation in the love that I feel for somebody, that's a fear just on the other side.
Okay, now I understand what you mean. Yes, that kind of desperation to be excitement, but it's actually fueled by fear.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you feel like, oh my God, I really need to be with him, that's a fear response. Or if it's like, oh shit, I gotta break this up right away. I'm having this memory of, or this just reminds me of Pete, who I dated. That's a fear-driven response as well.
Yeah.
If there's like a knowing, like I had once where a voice said to me, wait, that's another thing. That's a hallucination. No, but it was kind of like this person is never going to change. And it was just like, it just dropped into my gut. And I was like, yep.
Yeah, that deep knowing versus and it can be hard to sort those things out for sure.
Yeah.
And I love that this it sounds like she had a real push-pull. And I mean, gosh, I've experienced that myself. I was just listening to a podcast, the one you put me onto with that guy, Forrest Hansen.
Oh, Being Well.
And then he was interviewing Meg Johansson, who wrote that book, Are You Mad
at Me?
But this is what she said that really blew my mind and I actually kind of scared me a bit. She said, how we were loved to begin with is what is familiar, which is why we keep seeking out the same kinds of patterns because it's familiar. It's not necessarily love, but it's familiar. So it feels right because it's familiar, but it's not necessarily right.
Yeah.
That blew my mind because that just, I mean, it's like, how do you get out of that spin cycle, you know?
I mean, I think you have to be, number one, I hate this. I actually hate this word. I don't know why I'm using it. Sometimes I'm just like, fucking stop telling me to be curious, okay? Just shut the fuck up about the curiosity already. But I guess you have to be curious about why you're attracted to a certain type, you know?
Well, and curious about how you learned love to begin with.
And those two things. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think they go hand in hand. That's all I got to say about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was amazing. Thank you so much, anonymous person, for sending that in. That was fantastic. And so we are finished this episode. Thanks a lot, Ange.
Thanks, Margaret.
Take care. By the way, So This Is Love is all me, piano, keyboards, all written by me, and some really great engineering by my friend Matt Bird at Blanket Fort Music. Oh yeah, and the really cool artwork is by Stephen Morton.